What up? This is JP from Off the Ball Network, giving you a recap of college football in week 3. Before we get into the recap, make sure you subscribe down below to Off the Ball Network for all your sports needs. Follow us on our social media platforms, and also check out offtheballnetwork.com for articles, podcasts, shows, even more stuff. And also, if you need to win some money, check out some bets and all that you could do on offtheballnetwork.com. Shout out to the guys from Off the Ball Network doing their thing and everything. And definitely subscribe down below and comment down below and tell us your thoughts about week 3 of college football here. And this is going to be interesting. There's 2 teams that I really just want to talk about in terms of, they were like an elite team, the past couple years, and then you think they're an elite team this year, but in terms of how the season is going, they're just a good team. And there's a person in the hot seat that I think might get fired this week or next week, just depending here. So I'm just not going to throw it out right now. But let's go ahead and get into it. So we have Alabama, the best team in college football, going up against number 11 Florida. And what we saw was a 21-3 lead by Alabama and letting Florida come all the way back. So Alabama scored nothing in the second quarter and only managed to score 7 points in the third and 3 points in the fourth. But they survived on Florida 31-29. Bryce Young, 22 out of 35, 240 yards, 3 touchdowns. Jamison Williams with 4 receptions, 61 yards. Malik Davis from Florida played really well, had 10 carries, 86 yards and a touchdown. So Alabama held up and survived in that one, and kind of give you some questions of, Alabama and, letting Florida come back like that. But that's just overreacting all that. But they still are undefeated. They're still the best team in the SEC, and they picked up the victory 31-29. Georgia, Will Muschamp as the assistant going up against his former team, South Carolina. I know it feels bittersweet to just beat the team that he used to coach. And they destroyed South Carolina 40-13. Wasn't really much of a contest. JT Daniels, 23 out of 31, 303 yards, 3 touchdowns. Kendall Milton with 10 carries, 866 yards. Josh Vann from the Gamecocks played really well with 3 receptions, 128 yards and a touchdown. Pretty much like South Carolina only scored 6 points in the first quarter and didn't score anything until the fourth quarter, and it was just only 7 points. And pretty much like Georgia scored and dominated in the double figures the first 3 quarters. In the fourth quarter, they probably took the starters out and they didn't score any because there was always a demolition on South Carolina. But they're the number 2 team in college football right now, and they picked up the victory 40-13. This one was kind of scary with Oklahoma fans kind of struggling a little bit early. Spencer Rattler didn't have much of a great game, but they did survive 23-16 against Nebraska. And Adrian Martinez played really well for Nebraska, 19 out of 25, 289 yards, a touchdown. Eric Gray and Jaden Hazelwood played really well. Let's talk about that great interception that DJ Graham did. That was an incredible interception, made Spencer Rattler speechless. Trey Young talking about it, speechless. Everybody speechless. It was a beautiful catch. It was an Odell catch right there. Paying homage to Odell Beckham Jr. and DeAndre Hopkins from the defensive side. It was an incredible catch, incredible. But Oklahoma did pick up the victory. They're still undefeated, so there's no panic yet, but they picked it up 23-16. Oregon versus Stony Brook, really much of a game, not much of a game. Oregon, on that hot streak right now, 48-7 the final score. Anthony Brown, 14 out of 18, 159 yards, a touchdown. Travis Dye with 15 carries, 87 yards, a touchdown. Sean Harris Jr. for Stony Brook played really well. But it was really not much of a game, though. I mean, Stony Brook only scored 7 points in the first quarter and really nothing after that. And pretty much Oregon did all their damage the whole game. And they're the number 4 team, so nothing expected though. Let's go ahead and get to Iowa versus Kent State. Iowa, the number 5 team, still undefeated, 30-7. Really not much of a game. Spencer Petras played really well, 25 out of 36, 209 yards, a touchdown. Tyler Goodson, 22 carries, 153 yards, 3 touchdowns, just damage. I mean, just damage. Keyshawn Abram from Kent State played pretty good. 6 receptions, 138 yards, a touchdown. Kansas State only scored, and he was the only one that scored, and that was in the first quarter, and pretty much they didn't score anything after that. So Iowa picked up the victory, beating Iowa 30-7. This one is the next one. As a Clemson fan, you're just like in disgust of the offense. After the Trevor Lawrence era and DJ coming into the fold in the mix. He played well last year, being the backup in a couple of games, and you thought that he was going to be an elite quarterback, and the offense can't really do nothing. The only positive light would be Will Shipley, coming, out of the spotlight of Travis Etienne, since he went to the NFL too as well. Played well, 21 carries, 88 yards, 2 touchdowns. Yeah, it was just bad to just watch. But the defense is really good. The elite defense that we always talk about with Clemson, and held opponents down to less than 10 points a game, and Georgia Tech really couldn't do anything offensively. Only scored 3 points in the second quarter, and then they scored only 5 points in the fourth quarter. But Clemson, the offense is just terrible. It is just terrible. 14-8 was the final score. I'm not gonna talk about the game against SC State where they scored 49 because they're not really facing anybody. It's just an exhibition. I kind of figure that Clemson is going to fall down in the ranks. They're number 9 now after that pitiful performance offensively. And they're like the team that everyone thought they're going to be elite this year. And pretty much they're just a good team because of that offense. No disrespect to the defense. The defense is, if it's just the defense, it's elite. But overall, just a good team. And that's basically just the defense carrying that squad every single game. And that's just sad because we are used to seeing a balance with the offense and defense. So 14-8, the final score. Texas A&M destroyed New Mexico. Wasn't much of a game, 34-0. Texas A&M did damage the first 3 quarters. Zach Calzada, 19 out of 33, 275 yards, 3 touchdowns. Isaiah Spiller, 15 carries, 117 yards, 1 touchdown. Damon Demas, 2 receptions, 100 yards and a touchdown. Only 2 receptions and got over 100 yards. They wasn't really facing anybody, but 34-0 was the final score. Cincinnati and Indiana. Cincinnati pick up the victory, 38-24. A 7-0 start for Indiana, and then pretty much Cincinnati is scoring double figures each quarter after that, after not scoring in the first quarter. The thing about the crowd, they tore off the bleacher. I'm talking about the Indiana fans. They tore off a bleacher. That was a really good highlight. You know how crazy fans are when it's football atmosphere, people drunk and everything and want to show off. Man, they tore a whole bleacher off. Goodness gracious. But Michael Penix Jr. from Indiana played really well. He played all right, I would say. 17 out of 40, 224 yards, 2 touchdowns. Jerome Ford, 20 carries, 66 yards, 2 touchdowns from Cincinnati. DJ Matthews Jr., 5 receptions, 120 yards. Michael with that bad interception dooms the Hoosiers' dreams. And then this one right here, Ohio State versus Tulsa. Well, it's another one. The quarterback for Ohio State is not that great. Well, we thought he would be great, and you think it might be time to bring in another quarterback to Ohio State, or to lead Ohio State. It was just against Tulsa, but they picked up a victory, 41-20. They slipped down too as well. Trevion Henderson, 24 carries, 277 yards, 3 touchdowns, had an amazing game. Davis Brin from Tulsa with 31 out of 54, 428 yards, 2 touchdowns. Josh Johnson, 8 receptions, 149 yards, 1 touchdown. Pretty much Ohio State needs to do something with the quarterback situation there. I think it might be different if a different quarterback's in the fold, in the mix instead of Stroud. It's just he's just terrible. He is really terrible, just terrible. Gave him a couple chances, and luckily Tulsa didn't win, because it would have been just a crazy, it would have been crazy because they lost to Oregon last week, in an upset. So luckily that didn't happen. Penn State really did really well against Auburn. That was a really good game, 28-20. Sean Clifford, 20 out of 32, 280 yards, 2 touchdowns. Tank Bixby from Auburn had a good game, 23 carries, 102 yards, 2 touchdowns. Dotson from Penn State, 10 receptions, 78 yards, 1 touchdown. It was a really good game. It was really good. It was back and forth, and I just loved it. I just love a really good game. And they showed it last night too as well. And we have Notre Dame, the number 12 team, going against Purdue, picking up a victory 27-13. Jack Cohn, 15 out of 30, 223 yards, 2 touchdowns. Kyron Williams, 12 carries, 91 yards, 1 touchdown. Avery Davis, 5 receptions, 120 yards, 1 touchdown. Notre Dame really picked up the victory 27-13. Didn't score any in the first quarter, but really kind of just pushed the gas, the rest of the game. UCLA, oh my goodness gracious, what an upset by Fresno State with a dude they lost to a guy with a bad hip and still led Fresno State, against UCLA. After really just wow. Jake Hagnell, 39 out of 53, 455 yards and a touchdown. Ronnie Rivers, 21 carries, 136 yards, 2 touchdowns. Jalen Cropter, 14 receptions, 141 yards, 1 touchdown. I mean, wow, just wow. A late touchdown sealed the fate of UCLA. I mean, goodness gracious. Fresno State with an upset. Wow. 40-37. That's awesome. They're 3-1 now. So Iowa State against UNLV. We talk UNLV as the basketball team with Larry Johnson and Greg Anthony, J.R. Rider, all of them. Yeah, Iowa State just put a beat down on them, 48-3. 7-0 in the first quarter by Iowa State, but pretty much led in double figures. Pretty much the whole way. Brock Purdy, 21 out of 24, 288 yards, 3 touchdowns. Breece Hall, Heisman candidate, 21 Ks, 100 yards, 2 touchdowns. Another great performance. And Xavier Hutchinson, 10 receptions, 133 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Man, Iowa State is just coming. They're just coming, They are just coming. 48-3 here. And then we got Virginia Tech versus West Virginia. Virginia Tech, feeling real good and everything so far, and lost to West Virginia 27-21. Braxton Bummazo had a pretty good game, 19 out of 31, 223 yards, 2 touchdowns. Leedy Brown from West Virginia, 19 carries, 161 yards, touchdown. Caleb Smith from Virginia Tech, 6 receptions, 58 yards. Leedy Brown, carried that team there, and West Virginia did their damage in the first half, 24-7. And they only scored 3 points in the second half, but they managed to survive. Virginia Tech trying to make that comeback, 27-21. Coastal Carolina been very impressive so far. Barely pulled out against Buffalo, 28-25. Grayson McCall, everybody's talking about how great of a quarterback he is. One of the best in the nation. 13 out of 19, 232 yards, 3 touchdowns. Shamari Jones, 16 carries, 149 yards, 1 touchdown. Javian Healer, 4 receptions, 91 yards, 1 touchdown. Pretty much, they were losing to Buffalo 14-7 in the first quarter, and then kind of managed to just kept the game consistent and definitely, won the game and survived 28-25. Ole Miss versus Tulane. I don't really want to talk much about this because it was pretty much a beatdown, 61-21. Pretty much the first three quarters, Ole Miss just dominated. Matt Core, 23 out of 31, 335 yards, 3 touchdowns. Ely, 15 carries, 105 yards. Jonathan Mingo, 6 receptions, 136 yards, and a touchdown. Pretty much 61-21. It was just really bad. Like, I just don't even want to see it. It was just, somebody need to wipe the blood off the floor. Like, goodness gracious, it was that bad. Arizona State, number 19 team going against BYU, and lost 27-17. Jaden Daniels didn't have a great game, pulling off a Zach Wilson. Zach Wilson he already got 4 interceptions today. Oh God. But 21 out of 29, 265 yards, two interceptions. Nagata, 8 carries, 82 yards, a touchdown. Gunnar Womney, had a good game from BYU, 6 receptions, 95 yards, and a touchdown. 27-17. And we have Arkansas versus Georgia Southern. Arkansas demolished Georgia Southern 45-10. Did their damage in double figures each quarter, except for the fourth quarter. They probably took the starters out. KJ Jefferson, 13 out of 23, 366 yards, 3 touchdowns. Dominique Johnson, 5 carries, 72 yards, 1 touchdown. Traylon Burks, 3 receptions, 127 yards, and a touchdown. Still undefeated, 45-10. And we have North Carolina versus Virginia, ACC matchup right here. Really wasn't much of a competition. North Carolina demolished Virginia 59-39. It was pretty much a good shootout, but North Carolina just said, enough's enough. We're not losing no more. 21-7 in the first quarter. Then it kind of flip-flop, 21-3. Then, second half, North Carolina said, okay, enough's enough. And pretty much just dominated the whole game, though. Brandon Armstrong, 39-54, 554 yards and 4 touchdowns. Todd Chandler, 20 carries, 198 yards, 2 touchdowns. Josh Downs, 8 receptions, 203 yards, 2 touchdowns. Sam Howell had himself a good game, too, as well. So, North Carolina, 2-1, 1-1 in the ACC. And the next game, Miami, this is where Manny Diaz should be fired. It's getting hot in there, in that hot seat right there. Jesus Christ, 38-17. Michigan State, still undefeated. They demolished Miami 38-17. De'Aaron King, 38 out of 59, 388 yards, 2 touchdowns. Kenneth Walker, the third, 27 carries, 172 yards. Charleston Rambo had 2 touchdowns, 156 yards, 12 receptions. Pretty much like Michigan State demolished them in the fourth quarter. Like, you look at that fourth quarter, like, box score, 21-3. 21-3. Like, in the fourth quarter to blow Miami out. Wow. Just wow. And we have Michigan, who finally got into the top 25. Demolished Northern Illinois 63-10. Really not much of a game for Michigan. Cade Manoa, 8 out of 11, 191 yards, 1 touchdown. Blake Corum, 13 carries, 125 yards, 3 touchdowns, had himself a game. Cornelius Johnson, 3 receptions, 117 yards, and a touchdown. And, yeah, pretty much 63-10. I mean, that's all I got to say right here, too, as well, 63-10. But the rankings did came out, too, as well. I'll go ahead and go over that one right here. So in the AP top 25 here, Alabama is still number 1, then followed by Georgia. Oregon's number 3, Oklahoma's number 4, Iowa's still at number 5. Penn State moved up to number 6, Texas A&M to 7, Cincinnati at 8. Clemson fell down from 6 to number 9. Ohio State fell down to number 10. Florida still at number 11. Notre Dame is 12. Ole Miss is 13. Iowa State 14. BYU is 15. Arkansas is 16. Coastal Carolina 17. Wisconsin 18. Michigan 19. Michigan State 20. North Carolina 21. Fresno State 22. After that victory over UCLA, Auburn 23. UCLA 24. Kansas State number 25. Wow. A lot of shakeups right there in that top 24 than you saw last week. So those are the top 25 teams right there in the AP poll. Comment down below and tell me your thoughts on week 3 of college football. What was your favorite game? What was an amazing play that you saw yesterday? Talk about the interception. Talking about, you can talk anything college football. Just comment down below. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe down below to Off the Ball Network for all your sports needs, articles, podcasts, everything Off the Ball Network. We got it for you. Check out our website, offtheballnetwork.com, and also check out our social media platforms. I'm JP, and we are out of here. Peace.